So this is going to be the very first episode of ranking every single Nintendo Direct. And we're going to start with something a little different. I'm going to watch the Pokemon Direct that just happened yesterday, February 26, 2021. But I'm not going to rank it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to watch it. I'm going to react to it. I've already watched it twice, actually, so this will be my third time watching it. But I think it'll be good to start with that because then we're going to go back and we're going to start with the very first Nintendo Direct of all time. So I think that will be a great comparison of what we're doing today for Nintendo Directs. And this is, granted, this is a Pokemon Direct, but I'm lumping those in with Nintendo Directs. And so what we're doing today, and then what they were doing 10 years ago when the very first Nintendo Direct came out. And as you can see here, I have a tier list made on Tier Maker. And you can see, scroll down here, I have thumbnails from all the Nintendo Directs. So I think there's 104 Directs, 105 now. I think it's 104. So here they are. And you can kind of see that they have some colors around the edges on them. And so that's related to this document I've made, which has every single Nintendo Direct with a link, as well as the thumbnail that correlates to it. And you can kind of see year 2020, I've put this green frame around the thumbnail, and every year has a different color. I kind of color coded these, so at the end, once everything's all done, I think it'll be interesting to take a look back and be like, okay, what colors have landed in the top tier at a glance? We can kind of tell, oh yeah, 2019, that year was killer for Nintendo Directs. Or, maybe it's going to be all spread out. I have a feeling that's going to happen, but, this is more practice or a chance for me to kind of test that to see, was there a year that was better than all the rest? Or did they all kind of level out in the end? And you can see over here, I have all of them starting with the year 2011, which is when we had our very first Nintendo Direct. And it was only 7 minutes long. I put this beautiful picture of Reggie there because who doesn't love Reggie? The good old days. And that's what we'll be starting with. And we're just going to go one by one through the list, watch every single one. And as we go, we're going to flip over to here and we're going to drag and drop to where we think it is based on, factors like the presentation quality, the announcements that were made, and just general information included, as well as the pacing. Because I think the pacing is important. The most recent one, was 50 minutes long. The actual Nintendo Direct, not the Pokemon Direct. And a lot of people kind of criticized it because it was a long 50 minutes. And so I think the pacing will be key. And I think we'll see that with this very first Pokemon Direct, actually, because it's only 20 minutes. And they cover a lot of information. And they give us a kind of taste of like a nostalgic walk back through Pokemon's past because it is the 25th anniversary of Pokemon today, actually. So happy Pokemon Day. But yeah, so I think it's going to be interesting to watch these and kind of go through and rank them. And I'm going to be posting these videos on YouTube so you can watch them later if you ever miss one. And in the end, I hope we're going to have a nice, beautiful tier list ranking that we can all look at and be like, all right, that's the definitive Nintendo Direct ranking. So yeah, before we get to that, let me just make sure that all my stream stuff is set up correctly. It is. And we'll dive right in, starting with the Pokemon Presents that came out yesterday. All right. So yeah, so once again, I think this is a special one because 25 years of Pokemon. Not every day you can celebrate an anniversary that big, and I think Pokemon really went all out with this one, which is good. And this is just a really fun look back through Pokemon's history. I started playing Pokemon when I was really young, I think like 4th grade. I love the anime. I remember going back through, or I remember watching the anime, and what we would do is every day we'd come into class after watching the anime, a new episode of the anime at like 6 in the morning, whatever time we used to wake up. And the first thing we would all do before class started was get together and talk about the most exciting parts of the episodes. And I remember that first episode was like a revelation. Like I had never seen anything quite like that. It was funny. It was also dramatic. Like that was the episode where Pikachu gets attacked by all the oh shoot, I don't remember the name of the crow-like Pokemon, or Ash defends Pikachu and gets attacked by them, and dramatic episode. And Pikachu has this like personality that I thought was really unique, you know, kind of grumpy. But it was a great episode, and I remember the one other episode that I really recall going to class and talking about it with everyone was the Charmander episode, where the Charmander is left outside in the rain, and his tail, the light on his tail is going to go out, and if that fire goes out, he dies, I guess is the implication. I was looking back, it's a dark theme, but it made for some great drama, and it was really fun to talk about with everyone. And I shared this on Twitter earlier today too. I thought it was funny that, thinking back, how they used to ban Pokemon cards, which is just ridiculous to me. But they banned trading of Pokemon cards in school, so you couldn't do it. You had to see your friends elsewhere to do it. But man, it was just like the biggest fad, and I think this is a fun reminder of that. Another thing I like about this presentation is how they make so many callbacks to random peripherals. Pokemon Pinball was a classic. I had that on the Game Boy Color. Pokemon Snap is coming back, and they're going to cover that with the new one in this video, which is very exciting.
Evolution. Trading card. Anime. Crystal.
Crystal, I think, is actually my favorite out of all the games. There was just so much to do in that game. And that was like really where my love for Pokemon, I think, really sank in. And it did everything the first game did, but better. And more of it.
2002. Ruby, Sapphire, Cable, multi-battle. Trading card.
Man, the Game Boy Advance. All those cables. I remember having so many cables. I still have like bags full of cables of all these random trading things and connections to actual consoles. The e-reader was really cool, and they kind of brought that back with Amiibos a little bit. I know there are Amiibo cards that you can scan.
USB link.
Diamond and Pearl, a fan favorite. I don't know what the loop line is. I don't know if I ever played whatever that game is.
Arcade cabinet. Trio battle. 2010.
Black, white, rotation battle. Trading card.
More trading cards.
Anime. Movie.
I loved Black and White. I just thought it was such like a fresh take on Pokemon. I love the story, the music especially. There's some amazing music tracks in that game. That seems like something I would do, I'm not gonna lie. Pokemon typing game.
AR database. 2013. Mega Evolution.
X and Y was also a revelation.
Anime.
I remember that. That came out when I was in college.
Cuteness contest.
I feel old watching this. I wish I was that good at Pokemon Art Academy. I could print it out and frame it and put it on my desk. My dreams. Pokemon Shuffle I got addicted to, I'm not gonna lie. And then Pokemon Go. I mean, talk about a viral hit. I was obsessed with Pokemon Go. Now it's kind of lost its allure because I'm stuck inside with the rest of the world thanks to the virus. Gotta love that. Let's Go. I actually also really enjoyed. I know a lot of people thought it was kind of controversial that they brought in the Pokemon Go style of catching, but I thought they streamlined it really well, and I loved the art style. And I actually got so addicted to it that I ended up shiny hunting, which I never do. And Pokemon Sword and Shield, it didn't really click for me. But I did go back actually after this presentation yesterday, and I spent my entire night playing Pokemon Sword and Shield to be specific. And I actually got 2 badges. So, I mean, this presentation did its work for getting me amped up about Pokemon. I went back and played the last entry. Maybe they'll stick this time. For me personally, I think the collecting is where I really enjoy Pokemon. There's just something really satisfying about it. In college, I actually got every single Pokemon in a single generation, the Pokemon cards, from blind packs. I would just buy blind packs. I got every single card for that generation of Pokemon, which was a huge waste of money, but incredibly satisfying when it was all done. And I had a beautiful sleeve case where all the cards lived, and you could just flip through all the pages.
Hello everyone, I'm Ishihara from the Pokemon Company. February 27th is the
So in
day
terms of
Pokemon Red
directs,
and
like I feel like
Pokemon
this is what a
Green were
direct,
released
a
in
good
Japan,
direct should do, especially on
marking
an
the beginning of
anniversary.
the Pokemon
Starts out with
series.
something that kind of gets us amped up, reminds us of what we
An
love
astounding
about a
25
series,
years have passed
and then
since
gets
the
straight into
Pokemon
the
series
announcements.
was born.
And also,
We've shared
that
so
cute
much
little
with
Pikachu
you
on the
over last
desk.
25 years,
I love
through
it.
our games, but
I love
also
it.
through so many other mediums, thanks to the support you've all shown us. Thank you, each and every one of you. Today, Mr. Utsunomiya will introduce our latest updates.
Hello there, my name is Utsunomiya from the Pokemon Company. First, I'd like to give
I'm
you
just
the latest
admiring all
update
the
on
background
new Pokemon
plushies.
Snap game. We've put together a video that will show you some of the gameplay. Please have a look.
So the new Pokemon Snap.
Welcome to
I
the
think this
world
looks
of
amazing.
new Pokemon Snap.
I'm ready
This
to play
is the
Pokemon
Lental
Snap
region.
again.
You'll ride the Neo 1 through the jungle, across
I think
the
they've done a
desert,
really good job of
and even under
making the
sea
environments look
to
better. I
research
think when the
Pokemon
first
in their
trailer
natural
dropped,
habitats.
we were all really excited, but then
And
the
of
kind of
course,
environments
you won't
weren't
be
as good
alone.
looking as
Professor Mirror, who's doing
you know,
research
they
in
probably
the
should
Lental
be.
region, and research
But
team members Rita
I think
and
what a lot of
Phil
people
are
forget
here
is
to
they take these
support
early
you,
trailers and
so
they
you're in
immediately
good
jump to,
hands.
oh, this looks bad and
Now
it's going to
then,
be bad upon
Let's
release.
get that research
But
started.
that's the
By
point of game
watching
development,
wild
is that it
Pokemon,
develops
you can
over
discover
time.
behaviors and expressions
And I
that
think
are
you can
rarely
see here that
seen.
if you compare the first
A
trailer
surfing
to this
Alola
trailer,
Raichu.
how much better everything looks. There's a lot more
And
depth
there's
in the lighting,
Vaporeon.
a lot more
Let's try
depth in the
throwing it
detail
a
in the
fluff
environments.
That's it. Now's our chance.
I think it looks really good. I think the animations on the
It's
Pokemon look
Tyranitar.
excellent too.
What a wild way to eat.
And I think
Here's
this
the
is just
park
going to be a
at
fun
night.
game to play.
Let's try playing
You're
at
on
night.
rails, you just take pictures of Pokemon,
Oh,
you watch them in
that
their
sure made
natural
Hoo-Hoo
habitats.
happy.
It's going to
You'll
be
also
more of what we
have
loved about the
Illumina
first
orbs,
game.
something the professor invented. If you use one of these, you can make any
Hopefully it
Pokemon
won't be
glow.
as obtuse in certain areas. I remember some of the puzzles when I was a kid were a little difficult for me,
Whoa,
but
those flames changed color. Make good use of your tools to take shots that really stand out. Then, show the photos you took to the professor. Oh, 4 stars! We captured a rare moment there. Catch a
I wonder how
variety
the
of
grading
different
scheme will be
behaviors
too. I
on
remember
camera
Professor
to
Oak,
fill
I
up
think he
your
was the
Pokemon
first
photo decks.
game
And
where
there's
he would
more. You'll be
rate
able
all
to
your
edit the
pictures.
photos you've taken.
And sometimes he just did not appreciate the works of arts that I
Use
captured.
features like
I can tell you that
stickers
much.
and frames to make your favorite photos even more special.
I also like this, so you can
And
you
I'm
can
sure
edit
you'll want
your
to show off
photos,
your best photos, right? We
add
know
whatever you
that
want to
feeling
it,
well.
and then you can
When you
upload
want
them.
to do that, it's time to go online.
Yep, so here you go.
You can share
Go
your
online,
favorite photos,
share your
and check out
photos.
photos from around the world.
And I think this
And
is a
if your
great
photo
opportunity
becomes
for
popular,
some
it
real
might even
meme
be
content. I'm
featured and
hoping
get
people
more
come through on
attention.
this.
Seeing
I
something
miss
like
the
that may
days
inspire you to go
of
back
the
and take
Wii U
even more
and all the
photos.
messages you could see from
We're
random
getting
people,
closer
the
to
jokes
start
people
of
would
your
make.
adventure.
I think there's potential for that here. I mean, obviously, I think Pokemon's going to kind of clamp down on anything that's too inappropriate, but I think there's some real opportunity for some funny stuff to come out of that.
Pokemon Celebi?
Oh man,
Get ready.
it just looks
The
so
Lental
good.
region is waiting for you.
I have it pre-ordered. You have me sold, Pokemon. I appreciate seeing more detail.
What did you think? I hope you're looking forward to the game's release on April 30th. Next, I'd like to tell you about several events we're holding to celebrate Pokemon Day. In the Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield games, special max raid
It's been
battles
fun to
featuring
see all the
Gigantamax Pikachu
Pokemon
are
Twitter
underway.
today. If you haven't been following it, and you're
And in
watching live,
Pokemon
obviously
Cafe
you can go
Mix,
check it
we're
out.
holding
But
a promotion in which you can
they've been
receive
sharing
2,500
sort of
golden
like
E-cores
memories
for
of what it
logging
was
in.
like to be a Pokemon fan in
Go,
certain years,
Articuno, Zapdos, Moltres, and
which I think was really
Eevee
cool.
Mewtwo
Just to
are
kind of like
appearing in
think
legendary
back on
raid
that,
battles
and
as part of a content
I remember
themed
being there.
celebration event.
You know,
In Pokemon
1999,
Masters EX,
2000,
Galar Region Champion Leon and his partner Pokemon
a long
Charizard
time ago
will
now.
arrive at last.
But I still love Pokemon.
Hope you'll enjoy these events.
Fast forward 20 years,
Next, I'd like
still
to
love
present
Pokemon.
the latest news about the Pokemon video
They
game
dug their
series.
talons in when I was
Have a
young.
look at this video.
I don't know if you can see, but in the background, I do have a Detective Pikachu amiibo back there. A giant Detective Pikachu amiibo. We just appreciate the Nintendo DS. Look how chunky that thing was. I forget what it was like to own one of those. I had this model exactly. And you can't really tell here. I think they do a good job of really zooming in, but the screens were just so small. But this, I mean, just looking at this is like what I love about retro tech. Is just being able to look back on this kind of thing and be like, wow. At the time, it seemed so innovative, and now you look back and like, wow, yeah, this came from the 2000s, clearly. But anyway, back to the exciting announcement. I shouldn't have paused on one of the most hype announcements of all time, I would say. I mean, to me, I think the original still looks really excellent. And I actually really love the art style. So this is a remake of Diamond and Pearl. So let's just go back real quick. I want to see this first shot here of Pearl in her room. Well, let's see if we can catch it this time. It went faster than I expected. I mean, look at her. She looks so freaking cute. She has her little Nintendo Switch in there. So it's cool because they're keeping this top-down art style, sort of like a chibi style for the characters. But then when you go into battle mode, you actually see them like you would in Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. So they're full life-size people, Pokemon 2, which I think is cool. I like that blend. And, you know, I've seen a lot of people can be, as they say, Pokemon fans are the ones who hate Pokemon the most, ironically. Because I think there's been a lot of controversy around the art style. But you know, before these games were even announced, hold on, before we get here, before these games were even announced, I mean, people were like, we're just begging for Diamond and Pearl to be remade. And I think if they chose a different art style, I think it would have changed too many elements of the game. And I don't think people would have been happy with it. So I like that they took this approach. Like Link's Awakening, it kind of evolves the art style, but keeps that same essence. So you can still have the same level layouts, you can still have almost everything exactly the same, but it's just evolved, and now it's in 3D. So I personally really like it. I know there's some people out there who don't like it, which, you know, totally fine. If you don't like it, that's fine. You can have your own opinion, but I still think it will be a really fun experience to replay these games, and I'm glad that they're finally getting the justice they deserve with these remakes. And this was
is a tale from
entirely
a long,
unexpected,
long time ago,
but incredibly
when the
awesome.
Sinnoh region was still only
Look at
a
those ancient
vast
Pokeballs there.
wilderness. A certain village bustled with the comings and goings of people.
So this is like you're getting your
While
traditional
in the
remakes,
mountains and seas,
but we're going to return to the
Pokemon
same region,
roamed
the
as
Sinnoh
they
region.
pleased.
We're going to do another game in that area, but it's going to be way, way in advance. Or in the past, not, I guess, in advance. Yeah, in the past. So this is like before modern times. You can kind of see the architecture style here. I mean, this just looks amazing. I mean, when I first watched this, it was like chilling. It was so good. I mean, look at it. I'm just trying to be quiet just so you can appreciate the atmosphere. And you can see there are places where the frame rate isn't that good, right there. But personally, I'm not too worried about that. I think, once again, sort of going back to what I said earlier, this is an early build. Game is supposed to come out early 2022, which I think is ambitious and will probably get pushed back, but we'll see. In any case, I think they have a lot of time to work on it and kind of flesh out the world and overcome those issues. And a lot of people are saying that they might have a new Switch model out. There have been rumors about a Switch Pro for years. We'll see if that's actually the case. But if so, I think this would make for a great launch title. I think this would be brilliant to have on a new Nintendo Switch. I think it would sell like crazy.
I'm pleased to announce 2 new additions to the Pokemon video game series, both taking place in the Sinnoh region. First, I'd like to present the Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Pokemon Shining Pearl games. These are faithful remakes of the Pokemon Diamond version and Pokemon Pearl version games, which were released for the Nintendo DS system in Japan 15 years ago.
15 years since those games came out. Maybe a lot of feeling old watching these Nintendo Directs again. I just know it.
Remakes of the Pokemon Diamond version and Pokemon Pearl version games, which were released for the Nintendo DS system,
Looks so good.
are coming to Nintendo Switch. These games will be developed by Ilka Inc., who also worked on Pokemon Home.
Ilka,
The project is being directed by Yuichi
I was reading a
Ueda
little
of
bit about
Ilka,
them, and I think this
as
is
well
going to
as
be their
Game Freak's
first
Junichi Masuda, who was
big
the
game that
director
they're going to
for
be
the
the head of,
original
which I
Pokemon
think is an
Diamond
incredible
version
opportunity
and Pokemon Pearl version
for them.
games.
And
Your
I like that they're
adventure will
bringing
take place in the Sinnoh
Masuda
region.
back for this too.
Rich in nature and with towering Mount Coronet at its heart, it is a land of many myths passed down through
And I
the
hope,
ages.
you
The
know,
sense of
I
scale
did see
of
some
the
people talking
original
about how
games, towns, and roots
they didn't
has
mention
been
Platinum
carefully
at all, which
preserved,
is like
and
the
you'll be able to travel
upgraded
through
version
familiar
of Diamond and
locations
Pearl.
once again. You'll set
Uh,
out on your journey after
but
choosing
I'm
either
hoping that they
Turtwig,
include
Chimchar, or
Platinum
Piplup as your
upgrades
first partner
in this
Pokemon.
so that we get the
In these
full
games,
experience.
You can enjoy a grand
I don't see why they
adventure
wouldn't do
together
that,
with all the Pokemon
but
from Pokemon
we'll see.
Diamond version
I'm
and
cautiously
Pokemon
optimistic.
Pearl version.
I know a lot
Newcomers
of
and
people
previous visitors to the Sinnoh
are
region
doubtful,
alike
but
can look forward to experiencing the original
Why
Pokemon
bother
Diamond
being
and Pokemon Pearl
disappointed in
stories,
things? You know,
freshly recreated for
be
Nintendo
hopeful.
Switch.
It's video games. They're meant to be fun.
What did you think? Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Pokemon Shining Pearl will launch simultaneously around the world late this year. We hope you're all excited for a nostalgic yet fresh adventure in the Sinnoh
I'm ready.
region.
My body is ready. As our boy Reggie would
Next,
say, our
allow me to
body is
introduce you
ready.
to the Pokemon Legends Arceus game. Pokemon Legends Arceus represents a new approach for the Pokemon video game series. Development is in full swing at Game Freak with the aim to deliver a gaming experience that breaks new ground for the Pokemon series.
I really hope it does.
Please have a look at this video.
I like that they, they gave us the teaser, and then they are doing this part to dive a little deeper into what the game will actually be.
Mount Coronet
I think that was a
towers
smart
over
decision.
the center of the region.
Once again, good for pacing,
Pokemon live
good
freely
for
in the
overall
wild
presentation.
here, but the harsh environments may be different from the Sinnoh region you remember.
I also really love these ink sketches.
In this era, people have journeyed
That
to
adds a
Sinnoh
unique
from
flair
all over and
I
founded a
think is
prosperous village
needed
in
for
the hope
this
of learning
style of
more
game.
about this land. As for these three Pokemon, Rowlet, Cyndaquil, and Oshawott,
Personally,
it
I'll be
seems they
going
were brought
Rowlet.
to Sinnoh
I'm a
by
huge
certain
Rowlet
professor
fan.
who encountered them while traveling
Round
around
little owl.
various regions.
How could you not
You'll
love
set
that?
off on
I know a
your
lot of people like
adventure after
Cyndaquil.
receiving a
Oshawott
first
too is
partner
another
Pokemon
classic.
of your own from this professor.
I also love these character designs.
With the village as your base,
And I think
you'll
it's
venture
funny that
out
they
to the
have
different
ancient
corners of
Pokeballs.
the region on your quest to create Sinnoh's very first Pokedex. Even in this era, wild Pokemon
They
can
even
be
give
caught
off
with
like the blue
Pokeballs.
light, like technology. They didn't have that
You
freaking
can
technology.
also engage in Pokemon battles alongside your Pokemon allies.
There must be like some
Sharpen your
magic in the
skills for
Pokemon
both
world that
catching
allows
and battling
Pokeballs to work.
Pokemon and strive to complete your Pokedex. Now for the mythical Pokemon that graces the game's title and story, Arceus. According to legend, Arceus shaped all there is in this world. But how is this Pokemon connected to your journey? The answer to this question and more await you in this exciting new action RPG adventure for the Nintendo Switch system.
I mean, I am really amped for this. It looks so promising. And they have that Breath of the Wild shot there. I know a lot of people are being like, everyone compares
Pokemon Legends
open world
Arceus will launch
games
simultaneously around the
to Breath of the Wild. But I mean, you cannot deny that this game is trying desperately to draw comparisons to Breath of the Wild. I mean, the music has like the same very simple piano melody musical style to it. It has that almost the same exact tracking shot of the one that swoops up behind Link and you see all the mountains behind him or in front of him. It has almost that same exact shot. I mean, they definitely did this to evoke that, which I think is good by them because a lot of people have been asking for this style of game. And I don't think it means, just because it's an open world game that we have to compare it to Breath of the Wild, but I think they're drawing clear comparisons to that here. So that's just my 2 cents there. And I think they're
world
smart
early
for
next
doing
year.
that because that game sold like
We
crazy.
hope you're all
People
excited to
revere
set
it
out on
as a
these adventures
masterpiece,
across the Sinnoh region,
and
each
why
one
not make a
distinctly
Pokemon
different from
version
the
of
other,
that?
with the
People
wonderfully
want it, people have
nostalgic
asked for
Pokemon
it,
Brilliant Diamond
and they're actually
Pokemon
delivering on it.
Shining
Hopefully,
Pearl,
it's as good as we all hope
the
it is.
Pokemon video game series' new journey, Pokemon Legends Arceus.
As Pokemon celebrates 25 years, we will continue to challenge ourselves and deliver new ways for everyone to enjoy Pokemon even more. Thank you very much for watching.
All right. Well, there we go. The latest Nintendo Direct, even though it's technically Pokemon, but the latest Direct that's come out, literally only a day old. So it's as new as it can get. So yeah, I'm tempted to try to place this on here. Oh, there it is right there at the bottom. Honestly, am really tempted to put this S tier, but I think, the point of what we're doing for this exercise here to rank every single Nintendo Direct is to, watch these videos separated from their moment in time, to get away from the hype that we feel in the moment and to think about, was the announcement or were the announcements made as good as we thought at the time? What did they do to put together an interesting, informative, and inspiring presentation? Did they check all the boxes? So right now I'm feeling the hype, I think. So I think it'll be better to kind of put this to the side, and once we rewatch it, 46 hours later, we can rank it officially. But right now I'm feeling S tier, so we can go back and check this in the future once I come back. But yeah, so here we go again. For anyone who's just joined, for anyone new watching, we have all of the Nintendo Directs laid out in this document that I've put together, which I believe is probably the most comprehensive list out there. So in total, 46 hours, 30 minutes, and 55 seconds of Nintendo Directs. We're going to do watch every single one of these and rank them as we go. And the very first one we have here is Reggie, his beautiful face. The first Nintendo Direct of all time. Actually, I should also note that these are North American Directs only. There actually was a Japanese Direct that started before this, but we're going to start with this because it was the first one that was meant for the North American audience, and it starts with Reggie. Let's open this bad boy up, and let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Reggie from Nintendo of America, and this...
Hold on, Reggie, sorry. I just wanted to note, so again, we're taking a look at the very most recent Direct, and we're comparing it to the original Direct of all time. So this was October 21st, 2011. So that was a little less than 10 years ago. 10 years. This was a very different time in Nintendo's history. They're coming off of the release of the Wii, which was a huge success. I mean, one of the most viral consoles of all time. And at this point, I feel like Nintendo felt like they could do no wrong. And they were really trying to hit that mainstream audience, which they did with the Wii. And I think you can kind of see in this video, they're trying to appeal to that audience a little bit. And I think it's a different audience than it is today. Because yes, we do have casual players today, and I think it is mainstream. The Switch, I think, is mainstream. But I think they do a better job of appealing to everybody in a way that services everybody instead of only servicing one specific audience. So I think a lot of these early videos are going to focus on, families, older generations, and you can tell they kind of talk to parents a little bit, rather than the people who are actually playing the games, which I think is a little smart. But I think like I said, I think they found a better balance today, and you can kind of see that in their marketing. They get the kids in, they get people like me who, I'm almost 30, still playing video games, still playing games made for children. And they also hit, parents and older generations too. They have a little bit of stuff for everyone. But without further ado, let's take a look at what Reggie's got to say to us.
This marks
President
a new
of
endeavor
Nintendo of
for
America.
Nintendo. Direct video news feeds designed just for you. For this first installment, we've got some important news if you're an owner of Nintendo 3DS or just thinking of becoming one. And really, if you're neither one yet, what's wrong with you?
I love that. If you're neither one yet, what's wrong with you? Yeah, what is wrong with you? Why haven't you bought a Nintendo 3DS? What's wrong with you? And it's funny because I actually did not get the original Nintendo 3DS. For whatever reason, I've gotten every Nintendo console as it comes out. But the Nintendo 3DS, I remember it coming out and the screen was still small. I mentioned earlier when we saw that the chunky Nintendo DS, the original, the screens were really small, especially by today's comparisons, which, everybody has huge screens now on their phones, and they're used to them on their video games. And so when the Nintendo 3DS came out, I think it was a really interesting idea to blend 3D technology with the DS, but the screen size just wasn't big enough to really get me interested, and it just wasn't quite at the refined point yet for me to buy into it, especially for the price. And looking back, the 3DS had like I think 5 launch games, which weren't terrible. I think it had a decent lineup, because a lot of people forget how terrible launch lineups actually are. But for me at the time, I was like, you know what, I don't really have any need for this. I think that's interesting because the 3DS actually ended up being pretty successful. It wasn't like massive, blow everything else out of the water, but it really regained ground over time. And so at this stage, they're not quite at that point yet. But still, what are you thinking if you're not a Nintendo 3DS owner? What are you thinking? Why not?
Nintendo 3DS owners already know what it delivers. Great games, and also video, photos, AR games,
The
movie
original
trailers,
Nintendo
and Street
3DS.
Pass Me Plaza. All in full 3D, right there in
I actually
front
love
of your naked eyes.
Street Pass.
Now, there's even more. Maybe most
They
noteworthy
brought
is the
back.
addition of Hulu Plus
Okay.
service, which is coming soon to
So here we
Wii
go, everybody.
and Nintendo 3DS.
The first
For less
announcement.
than $8 per month,
The first announcement in this Nintendo Direct. Let's write it down. Hulu Plus. Hulu Plus is coming to your Nintendo 3DS and the Wii. I mean, that's amazing. Look at that. Talk about next level hype announcements. This is incredible. Hulu Plus. Man, I'm so pumped to turn on my 3DS on those tiny little screens and watch some Hulu Plus. Sounds exactly what I
for
want.
less than $8 per month, you'll be able to enjoy the entire current season of popular shows like Dancing with the Stars, Modern Family, and Glee, in addition to a huge library
Dancing
of
with the
classic
Stars,
TV shows.
Modern Family.
Whether you're at home
and Glee.
or on the go, Hulu Plus on your
Can you imagine? Can you imagine watching those shows on your 3DS? Can you imagine you as a kid, or whatever age you were at the time, turning on your 3DS and being like, all right, let's watch the latest episode of Dancing with the Stars? See, this is what I was talking about earlier, where I think they were marketing to a different generation here. Like maybe this was geared toward parents. I mean, I think it is kind of cool. The Wii, I think I did use for things like Netflix. So I think, coming to the Wii is another thing. I think that's good. It should have those. But I just feel like this is so weird. Like, what kid's favorite show is Modern Family? They're not going to watch that on their 3DS. They're going to watch Dancing with the Stars. But anyway,
Your Wii
keep going,
and Nintendo 3DS
Reggie.
will provide
What else you got
thousands
for us?
of TV episodes and hundreds of movies whenever and wherever you want. Also on the way at the end of November is another system update for Nintendo 3DS.
System
With
update.
this update comes
Get hyped.
3D video recording. It will be added to the 3D picture taking you already enjoy.
3D
Stop motion animation is
video
just one
recording.
example of the many innovative 3D videos you'll be able to create. And up to 10 minutes of 3D video can be recorded of anything you want. Birthdays,
I mean, this is like
holiday family gatherings,
3D
or your
video
brother
recording
drooling
coming
in
to the
sleep.
3DS. Let's all go
Almost
out in
every
droves and buy
Nintendo
it.
3DS owner has jumped at the opportunity to populate his Street Pass Me Plaza. The November system update also adds more puzzles and new challenges. Of course, you don't have to create your own 3D video.
Once again, I actually love Street
We're
Pass.
providing a
I
lot
love
of
all the
content
support it got
for
over the
you.
years. It was like
Many
I would
Nintendo
always
3DS
bring my
owners
3DS
are
to
already
conventions,
familiar with
pass a bunch of
features
other people with their
coming from DreamWorks
3DSs.
Animation, and now a landmark production is on the
All
way.
right, so here's hype announcement
It's the
number
Thriller
2.
song that you know and love, featuring DreamWorks Animation's Shrek characters. It's a one-of-a-kind 3D experience
A trailer
you can't buy
for Shrek
anywhere else.
DreamWorks Animation.
Once purchased and downloaded, you can keep it for
That
as
is
long as you
to
like.
Thriller.
The catalog of music videos from real-life performers will also grow, with a 3D version of Don't Stop from Foster the People.
Oh my god.
But of course,
That's a blast
first
from the
and
past.
foremost, Nintendo 3DS is about games, and the total game library is growing in ways it never has before. From the Nintendo
It's funny because I
eShop,
feel like this is still like
4
a
great downloaded titles.
something people do nowadays, where they say, you know, the PlayStation 5 is about games. I feel like Microsoft does this all the time. They'll come out and they'll be like, the Xbox Series X is all about video games. Now let's get to the presentation, and they'll show off like 5 games no one cares about. That might be harsh. I actually own a Xbox Series S. I have a PS5. I have all the Nintendo systems, so I'm a fan of all of them. But I feel like this is like typical conference speak, where it's like, we know what gamers want. They want games. And Reggie's no different. Also, I want to remember to write down
Titles are in the works,
a hype
all
announcement
published by Nintendo.
of the Shrek Thriller
The
music
first
video.
is
That's
Freaky Forms,
got to be up there.
Your creations alive. Here's how it works. Draw your bubbly creature in any shape you want. Add eyes, arms, legs, wings, any body part you want, and let them roam across a 3D landscape. Next,
I don't remember that
is
at
Pushmo,
all.
a place where
Pushmo,
more than
on the other hand, is
250
amazing.
puzzles wait
I
to
love
be
Pushmo.
solved. Puzzles that were created with 3D gameplay in mind. Third is something we showed a little of at last E3, Dylan's Rolling Western.
I remember
You
this
play
game
an
too.
armadillo who defends an old western
don't
town
believe I
rendered in
bought it.
3D by rolling over your enemies. And finally,
I don't remember
Swap
anything
Note,
beyond that.
your chance to handwrite your own 3D messages with pictures and voice and send to your friends via Spot Pass.
I actually
and
enjoyed
Street
using
Pass.
SwapNote
And that's
to
not all.
do
The biggest
ridiculous
game
things.
news for the holidays comes from some of the biggest names in video game history. True Pokemon fans
Pokemon
know
Rumble
that
Blast.
Pokemon Rumble
I remember
Blast
this.
hits
This looks
stores
familiar.
next Monday, October 24th.
I think
Then,
didn't they turn that
on
into a
November
mobile game or
13th,
something?
Super Mario 3D Land arrives at retail. There's simply nothing like maneuvering Tanuki Mario.
Super Mario
through a
3D Land
true
is
3D
really good.
landscape.
I don't think it gets
It's the
as much
first
credit.
Mario game
as it should.
evolved into full 3D. It
And I-
doesn't get better or play
I
better.
think that this is a
than
good
that.
example of the 3D being used
But in
well.
terms of adding entirely new dimensions to a beloved franchise, Mario Kart 7 will set new standards when it hits stores on December 4th. In a new Iwata Asks on Nintendo.com, you'll hear a great conversation
See, I'm not
about
sure
the
if this is-
addition of new community elements.
I
to
don't know if this was
first
actually in the
3D
first
version
Nintendo
of Mario
Direct,
Kart.
the Japanese one.
Build a
I
racing
assume it
competition
is.
with your own group of friends.
So we're kind of getting a glimpse
race
of what was covered in that
against up to
presentation.
7 of them online. It's not just creating your own community and inventing your own rules, but also opening that community, seamlessly sharing data, and inviting newcomers to join via Street Pass and Spot Pass. And let me close by noting the game that we home console owners have been waiting for.
All right, hold on, Reggie. Oh, wow, look at this just blank screen I stopped on. All right, so reflecting. We had Hulu Plus. We had Shrek Thriller animated music video. Man, that must have been excellent. I wonder if I can find that online somewhere. I unfortunately don't think we'll be able to listen to it because of the copyrighted music, but I think that would be really funny to watch. So we did have Mario Kart 7. We had Super Mario 3D Land. Pushmo. And Rolling Dylan. I'm gonna have to go back and look that up. The name of that one. Rolling Dylan's Western is what we'll call it for now. I don't know how accurate that is. And let's just say Street Pass functionality / apps. Just to get an idea of what was covered in this. And I think that was pretty much it. We'll go back to this.
The Legend of Zelda Skyward
Oh.
Sword arrives November 20th.
Wow.
The 25th anniversary symphony concert begins tonight at the Pantages.
It's so funny
Theater
because
in
now they're
Los Angeles.
re-releasing Skyward Sword.
Fans
They're doing a
across the country can
remaster.
look forward to a Zelda concert tour in
And
2012.
that
the game
tour
itself
was
is the story.
amazing.
And
They've
you're going
done
to
the
feel
Symphony of the
Zelda
Goddesses.
adventure
If you're a
in
Zelda fan, you
ways
have to check that
you
out.
never have
Once
before.
we go back to normal, we can actually go
It's
to
an
concerts.
unprecedented mix of
I've been to it
action
several times, and
emotion.
it's amazing. You show footage of Zelda games, and they play the music fully orchestrated in a
Nintendo's
symphony, and it's
delivered holiday
brilliant.
fun for over 25 years in America. But no previous year has ever matched this one for the breadth and depth of the
Breath
entertainment that
of
awaits
the
you.
Wild. Is that a
So
hint,
please
Reggie?
enjoy. Thanks for watching.
6 years in
and
advance.
Stay tuned for more
We're
video
teasing
updates.
Breath of the Wild. Possible. I mean, they must have started development. I think it took them years to make that. 5 years? Okay, so the final announcement in this one was Skyward Sword coming to the Wii. And we'll say Symphony. Symphony concert, of course. Let me see if I could just go back real quick. There it is.
Dylan's Rolling Western.
Dylan's Rolling Westerns. Okay, so I wasn't that far off from that. Okay. So, all in all, that was our very first Nintendo Direct. We have not a great lineup. First off, it was only 7 minutes, which I think today would count as like a Nintendo Direct mini, or maybe a micro. And what did we get? We got Reggie speaking to us in front of a white background, very sterile background. And he told us about Hulu Plus is coming to the Nintendo 3DS and the Wii. We got a Shrek thriller animated music video. We have Pushmo, a little puzzle game that I love. Dylan's Rolling Western. And we have, I don't think this is when these games were announced, but just being like, hey, upcoming soon, we have Super Mario 3D Land. We have Mario Kart 7. We have Skyward Sword coming to Wii. And we have a bunch of Street Pass functionality apps, 3D camera videos you can take or whatever. So all in all, I think we can all agree that the first Nintendo Direct of all time, S tier, baby. S tier. Just kidding. Every part of me wants to do that because, this was the first one. This paved the way. This presentation walked so the rest of Nintendo Directs could run. Does it deserve S tier? Some might say it does. I personally feel like it does, but I'm actually going to put this in E. Because, I think normally it would be F tier just based on those announcements. They're not even really announcements. They're just information packaged up into a digital video. But it was the first one. We have to give Reggie some respect here. This deserves to be E, and this is where we're going to start with our Nintendo Direct ranking. The first 1 is complete. Only 46 hours and 20 minutes to go. Oh, you gotta love it. Anyway, next up, another short one, only 11 minutes long. So this is February 22nd, 2012. So this was 9 years ago, if I can do math in my head correctly. Let's see where this one takes us. What kind of journey are we going to be going on now? Hopefully it's as good as Hulu Plus for the 3DS. Frankly, that's what I'm hoping for.
Hi there. Welcome to
Hi, Reggie.
Nintendo of America headquarters in Redmond, Washington. And thanks for joining us in the latest edition.
But at least
of
this
Nintendo
one,
Direct.
you know, they moved away
Whether
from
your
that
game system
sterile
of
white
choice is
background.
Nintendo
We have a little
3DS
more
or Wii,
flavor going on here.
Great games are here
Feels
now.
a little more
There's
natural.
a lot more headed your way that we can't wait to share with you.
I'm
First,
ready. Share it with
another
me.
addition to the
My
recent
body is
string of
ready.
hits for Nintendo 3DS coming to the Nintendo eShop. We'll take you inside to show you new details on the multiplayer modes in Kid Icarus Uprising. We've got an
Multiplayer in Kid
exclusive
Icarus.
First look at Mario Tennis Open.
Mario
also for
Tennis
Nintendo
Open.
3DS. We'll be announcing
I'll be honest,
the
I don't
winner
really remember
you
Mario
chose
Tennis
for
Open
the
that
artwork
much.
that'll be featured in the packaging of Xenoblade Chronicles for Wii. And finally,
In Xenoblade
we'll give
Chronicles,
you
I mean,
news
a
on Wii
classic.
title that many of you have been
One of the
clamoring
greatest
for
JRPGs of all
and
time.
maybe thought would never arrive here to the Americas. And with that, first up is a top
I love
quality
this.
game
This filming.
features an armadillo in the leading role.
It does
Don't
feel
fret,
more
it's all
natural,
the
but it
detail.
feels corny, which is what I
Hi,
actually love
I'm Bill
about
from the Nintendo
these
Treehouse.
videos.
This is where a lot of the hard work happens in getting our games into the hands of fans
Bill
in North
Trinan.
America. Unfortunately, I can't take you inside, but later we'll be able to meet some of the people that help bring
He'll
these
be
games
showing
to
up a
life.
lot in these. I know he will.
Before that, I wanted to talk a bit about the Nintendo eShop for Nintendo 3DS. Hopefully, you've noticed
I think
that
this
the
is
eShop
funny
has been
too.
on
You
a
can
roll
tell
lately.
this is like,
The critically acclaimed game Push
he's a
Mode,
little nervous.
the freeform fun of Freaky Forms, Your Creations Alive, the 12-bit action of Mutant Muds,
Oh wow,
the
I remember
stylish
that game.
swordplay of Sakura Samurai Art of the Sword. These
Sakura
great titles
Samurai
and many
Art of
more
the
have been added to the
Sword.
service in the past few
I don't
months.
remember that.
And don't forget SwapNote.
Sounds cool, though.
Our new free messaging application that lets you exchange notes featuring full 3D drawing, 3D photos, and sounds with friends who have also downloaded the application.
So
But
funny.
now,
I wonder if
the
anyone
latest
actually wrote
release
notes
for
to
the
their
Nintendo
mom in
eShop
SwapNote.
was Dylan's Rolling Western.
Oh, more about Dylan's
This
Rolling
game
Western.
is a unique blend of strategy and action set in a stylish old west
So I think
world,
this kind of is
starring
like
one tough
building
armadillo.
on the first video.
The action battle
You can
controls
tell that
feel
they've already
great as you
learned a
use
little bit.
touchscreen and circle
You know,
pad
they
to
had their
roll
first
into enemies
foray
and defeat
into
them.
this.
You'll also mine the ore and gems
Kind of like
you'll
how
need
this is
to
my
improve
first
each town's
foray
defenses,
into
and to
ranking
build up
Nintendo Directs.
watchtowers and equip gun
I'm
towers
sure I'm
out
going
on
to do
the
things
plain.
wrong or
These towers
poorly.
will help you in your fight to
But
protect
we
the
all
villagers
learn.
and their livestock from waves of
You know?
marauding enemies called groks. If you're curious about when you can get your
Groks
hands on
or
Dylan's Rolling
grogs?
Western, I've got good news for you. The
Grogga.
full game is available for purchase in the Nintendo eShop right now.
All right, here we
It
go.
take even talented players
Just dropping
upwards of
stuff
20
same
hours
day.
to fully complete the game. So it has a pretty significant amount of content, and is one more
Wait,
reason to jump on the
I
eShop
gotta roll that back. How much content did he say?
game. So it has a pretty significant amount of content. There's upwards of 20 hours to fully complete the game.
20 hours. Oh, I'm sorry, Bill. That was a terrible place to stop on you. So Dylan's Rolling Western comes back for more. Dylan's Rolling Western. Same day. Drop. Dylan. Okay, back to the fun
So
stuff.
it has a pretty significant amount of content.
20 hours
and
of
it's one
content.
more reason to jump on
Actually
the
pretty
eShop
good
Steam
for like
Deck.
a small indie game like that.
Hey John, I know you've been busy.
Oh my
so
God,
thanks
this
for
is
taking time
so
out today to
funny.
Talk to me. It's good to be here. Finally, March 23rd, Kid Icarus Uprising is launching.
I just love like the
You, of
outfits.
course, have been deep into the localization on this for quite a while. I understand that Masahiro Sakurai is developing the game. And he's obviously the creator of the
All
original
praise
Smash Brothers.
Sakurai,
And what's unique about him
the
is he
creator
finds a
of
way to
Smash
take a
Bros.
seemingly simple concept and
In
develop
Kid Icarus
layers of
Uprising,
depth to
I
that and package it
loved
with
this
a
game.
tremendous amount of content. Can you talk a little bit about how he's done that?
You know, the game
I
is
don't
it's so
remember
frenetically
playing that much of the
paced, it's just
multiplayer though,
packed
gotta
with
be honest.
nonstop action.
But I think
And
this
from
is
a
one of those
content
games that just
perspective,
really
there's just
deserves
so
another
much in the
chance
game.
because it was so good.
And one really
And the 3D, I
feature
thought this
of
was
the
another
game
game
is
that really
the
did
control
3D well.
mechanic, which is the circle
But
pad,
I think at the same
touchscreen,
time, it
and
was
the L
just like
button in these three
information
very
overload
simple
for your eyeballs. There was
control
just
paths.
so much going on the screen.
Uses, the circle pad in a way that
I'm curious, it
uses
might
from
feel
the-
more natural
but
today
then
because I
also
think
with
games
quick
have gotten
slide,
much
it uses that to
faster.
layer in more complex
We're used to that.
moves, attacks, and also dodges and things like that. Is that
But it was
correct?
also
Yeah,
on
simple
that
on
little
paper,
tiny
but there's a
screen.
lot to master there. if
It
you
just
put time
wasn't
into it.
the best.
There's
I
air
think,
battles and there's
you know,
land
if
battles,
this
and
game
it goes
got a
about
new
weapon. But
version on the
there's
Switch, I
like
think it
9
would be
different weapon
amazing. It
types,
would go over
and
really well.
And each one of those
Will it
sort of
actually happen?
changes the way that he plays in
Probably
each level,
not,
but
especially
then
if they want
there's more beyond
Sakurai
that.
to do it, since he's so
Using
busy
account
with Smash
categories,
stuff.
like
And
claws
personally,
or
I don't
cannons
want Smash
or
content to ever stop
blades or
coming.
staffs.
More the merrier.
There are different types of claws, different types of cannons. That's a really enticing aspect of the game.
You play the game at one difficulty level. You can go back into a level, up the intensity, and you're going to get more powerful weapons. You can take two weapons and combine them to make an even more powerful weapon. Is that
Right.
correct?
Yeah, you've just brought
That's
up
pretty
weapon
cool.
fusion, which is
I remember
really
that.
cool. But there's also Street Pass. Street Pass is big in this game.
Don't forget about
and
Street
it
Pass.
totally expands
We
the
love
depth
Street
and
Pass.
the breadth of the possibilities when it comes to using weapons and collecting your
Alright, just my
selection.
water bottle if you hear that in
So
the
how do
background.
you typically hold the game when you're playing?
I'm actually a stand guy.
You're a stand guy?
I'm a stand guy. I like to use the stand. You know, so in addition to
hell is that?
6 AR cards that come packed with the game, the stand comes with every copy of the game.
It's kind of like just
Oh
using that 3D
my
lens to
god.
find what's right.
A Nintendo 3DS stand? I don't remember that. That's actually funny. It reminds me of these little stands for my cell phone. I have like 2 that I just bring around the house. This is hilarious
Yeah,
though.
it's another option to let you find the way you like to play. The multiplayer is something that I'm really excited to see.
A little
put that in the
stand
hands
for
of all the
3DS.
players
How
out
cannot
there now, especially since in addition
I
to
mean, is that the
local
hypest
multiplayer,
announcement in
there's
this
online
Nintendo
multiplayer,
Direct?
up
It
to
might
6
be.
players, and
3DS
there's a
stand.
free-for-all mode in the game, which is pretty self-explanatory. But we're also offering this team-based mode called Light versus Dark.
I don't know if you've heard, but also you can pre-order the game now, and if you pre-order at select retailers, you can get a download code for the 3D Classics version of the original Kid Icarus.
Oh.
Pre-order Uprising, get a code.
That's a nice
I'm
little
super
treat.
excited for this game. I'm a huge fan of Mr. Sakurai myself, and I wish we had more time because there's so much.
I'm a
depth
huge
and
fan of
context
Mr.
to the game,
Sakurai
but,
myself. We know Bill.
Thanks for joining me today.
We are
Oh,
too.
it's my pleasure.
You gotta love Bill Trinan.
So Eric, we hinted that there's a Mario Tennis game coming for Nintendo 3DS. We said that back before the holidays. Today it's official, Mario Tennis Open, launching May 20th. I've been a huge fan of the series since the Nintendo 64 version, the original. This time it's also developed by Camelot.
I mean, I love the original.
You
I'm
know,
right there with you,
localization
Bill.
Producer, tell me a little bit about
I love the
what their
latest
focus
Mario
is.
Tennis on
It's
Switch.
really a classic Mario sports title.
Wii U
and
one
I've also been a huge fan of the
was
series for a really long time, and I think part of the
not
reason
so
is
great.
these are games that are really fun
The
for
3DS
everyone, you know, no
one,
matter who
maybe
you
it
are.
was
You know,
good.
I'm kind of a hardcore gamer. I've
I
always loved the
don't
series
quite
for
remember.
the depth that you get from it, but if you're just picking it up for the first time, it's really easy to play.
Why did the quality of our
Control in
video
this
just
series has always
plummet
been really
all of a
tight. I
sudden?
understand, you know, I think this time their
There's like
focus is
no
really more on
option
kind of
to
fast-paced,
check on that, but
sort of intense rallies. Is that correct?
Well, it's actually a really fast-paced, quick-paced kind of action. I think one of the best elements of the series has always been just these really intense rallies that you get into when you're playing. You know, as the shots go back and forth and on,
That's
kind of the tension
tennis.
rises as you're trying to win your points. And there's definitely some head games that get in there, especially when you're playing against other people.
If you're not all that well versed in terms of how the different shots
so funny because I feel like
behave,
now
or
this is
maybe
like
not that great at controlling with sort of those standard button
another
controls,
like
what
this
options
this
Yeah, really
still
simple
doesn't feel
controls,
right
they're easy to pick up.
for
It's a surprising amount of depth that you can get out of those
Nintendo
controls,
Direct
but, you know, if you're
tone
not, you know,
that we have
familiar with those
nowadays.
controls, or you want to use,
Like, oh yeah, we're
you know,
just
maybe
the
new to
two,
series, you can also use the touch screen,
you know,
to tap certain
directors,
shots.
execs
You know, if you
sitting
wanna pull
down
off a
having a
slice and you're
chat.
not sure how to do that with the buttons, you can just tap the
Like
touch
who's this
screen
who's
and
this
get that right
meant
away.
for?
One other cool feature that we have is a feature that uses
It
the
doesn't.
gyro,
It's just
and
a
actually
weird,
enables you to
weird in
look at your
comparison to
Nintendo
what we have
3DS
today,
and,
where they've
and
really
tilt
refined it. You can tell they're
and
still
you can basically look
experimenting with
around
the
court,
style
and the view is
of the
down, you know, as if you were
presentation.
on the court itself.
Obviously, the Mario Tennis series.
You can
is
see that
really,
this
until
was.
now,
I mean,
been about,
nowadays
you know,
people are
sitting
just
down
like,
together
show me
with friends
gameplay.
and playing together
That's
on the
what
same
we want to see.
Um,
as fans of
Mario
video
Tennis
games.
Oh, you can
That's
definitely
all we
do that.
want.
I mean, you can play local wireless.
And you can see here
up to
that
4
they're
people. You can
still in
also
that
play
mode
for
of
some online.
let's talk about the game a little bit. Let's talk about what new features are coming. We're not really seeing a ton of footage, except for these like glimpses every now and then. Which, I mean, it's Mario Tennis, so it's like, how much do you really need to see? It's on the 3DS, so it's not like you're gonna be inspecting the picture image,
able to jump in and play a quick match, but
checking out the graphics.
Things like victory medals by defeating other players. There's monthly leaderboards that you can kind of be a part of, and, player rating. You're always trying to build up and go back to playing online.
Obviously, we'll be talking more about the game between now and launch. It sounds like we've only just scratched the surface. Thanks for sharing what you could today.
We did only scratch the surface. I want to hear more about Mario Tennis.
A while back, we asked you to go to Facebook and vote for the artwork that would wind up in the packaging for the upcoming Wii release, Xenoblade Chronicles.
That's actually kind of cool.
Polls are now closed, and I'm
you go to Facebook and you vote.
Let's take a look.
Whatever wins will be the
I must say, this was my favorite too.
Cover art.
Thanks to everyone who voted. And while the polls are closed, the action is yet to begin, with Xenoblade Chronicles arriving on April 6th. If you ask me, Classic Controller Pro is the best way to experience this title.
Classic Controller Pro. That rolls off the tongue.
Open world role-playing experience that's just begging for players to dive in and experience everything it has to offer.
The original, I love the original Xenoblade Chronicles.
As well as numerous
my personal favorite is Xenoblade Chronicles X, which actually has its own Nintendo Direct. I'm very much looking forward to that, and I'm hoping that from sheer force of will I can get it somehow ported to the Switch one day. I can play it again.
One last announcement
it deserves it. It didn't get, you know, it was on the Wii U, so its audience wasn't big enough to really support it as well as it deserved.
If you follow RPGs, you know that this is one of the greatest. Coming from Final Fantasy creator Hironobu Sakaguchi, it will be on store shelves this year.
Interesting.
Coming to you from our publishing partner, Xseed Games.
I don't know anything about that game.
Wii adventures keep on
Did it do well?
And great new
Who
games
knows?
for Nintendo 3DS.
I'll have to look into that one.
At a great pace over the next few months.
Could be a hidden
Aside
gem.
from what we've talked about today, remember there's also fantastic releases new to the Americas in this month alone. Don't forget about Resident Evil Revelations, Mario and Sonic at the 2012 Olympic Games, Tekken 3D Prime Edition, and Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater 3D.
This is interesting because it's like, you know, do we consider these announcements, or is this just sort of, you know, what they had on the table at the time? We knew these were already coming.
You won't want to miss the augmented reality-driven scares of Spirit Camera: The Cursed Memoir, launching for Nintendo
Spirit
3DS
Camera: The Cursed Memoir.
Friday, April 13th. Lastly, beyond the highlights you've seen today, full-length versions of many of the game videos shown here are available on our YouTube channel and on Nintendo.com, including a comprehensive overview of Kid Icarus Uprising featuring Mr. Sakurai himself. That's it.
All right.
Until next time.
So, I mean, this is something that they still practice today, which is they have a Nintendo Direct and then they go on their Twitter accounts and they post all the videos. So you can watch the individual trailers after presentation. I think that's a good strategy. Gets the word out there, and then you can just keep spreading it. People share the trailers. It's a good way to drive hype. And, you know, all they have to do is a Nintendo Direct, and you have all the information out there. People can go get excited about what they want to get excited about, and I'll spread to more fans. So really, I think the big ones here, we had Kid Icarus Uprising, Deep Dive, Mario Tennis Open. I think that's the title of the game. Not 100% sure. Deep Dive, and, you know, that was kind of it. I'll say a bit of Xenoblade Chronicles. So let's go back to this. Let's just skip through real quick. Turn the volume off so we don't have to listen to this. So we did get some smaller things in here. More Pushmo. More of whatever that game is. This game, which I remember Sakurai Sword or whatever that was. Okay, so we got more Kid Icarus. But really, those were the main focuses of this one, which I think is fine. You know, I think at this time they were supporting the Nintendo 3DS. That was really their main goal. But we did get some Wii stuff. I almost said Wii U. We got some Wii games in here with Xenoblade Chronicles. So, you know, and then they kind of dropped some mini teases in the end. So we'll just say plus some small teases of games to come. All right. So question here is, where does this belong? And so far we only really have the first direct to go off of. This is February 22nd, 2012. All right, so that's this one. Where are we putting this? S tier? Just kidding. I mean, you know, I think this was good. We only got 2 games. It was only 11 minutes long. We got a tease of some more information to come. We had a different style. It kind of built on the first Nintendo Direct. It definitely improved what we had there. But you know, I mean, it's just not at that level yet. I think this is going to be just above Reggie in this. Because it did improve, in my opinion. I think it improved on the presentation style. And, you know, the first one, let's just remind ourselves. The first one had Hulu Plus and a Shrek thriller music video. And, I mean, these we didn't really get any information on these games. So it's definitely better than that. Should these be an F tier? I don't know. I think this makes the most sense to me. And that's where we're going to start. And that makes perfect sense to me. So if you disagree, fine. You know, we all have our own opinions, but this is where we're starting. So let's see. How long? Let's do one more. Maybe 2. Maybe do. Oh man, 3DS XL reveal will be great. Okay. So this next one, pre-E3 2012 Direct. So they have done a series of these pre-E3 events. This was before Nintendo stopped doing E3 events, period. So I think, you know, nowadays, well, before the virus, they would just do their Nintendo Directs on their own time around E3, but they wouldn't actually have a presence there aside from a Treehouse event. So that's where they would just have some Nintendo people on the floor, people who represented the brand, and they would play the games live that they already announced in their Nintendo Direct. So it was a chance to kind of get more hands-on with certain games, and it was really focused on the particular announcements that were coming soon. So I'm curious to see what this one will be like, because I'm not quite sure what we're in for with this one. Looks like Iwata is going to be here. The man, the myth, the legend.
Hello everyone. Thank you for joining me today to begin hearing about Wii U. I am here inside Nintendo headquarters in Kyoto in a 7th floor
I miss
conference
Iwata.
room, which, as you can see, is rather plainly furnished. But
Rather plainly
there
furnished.
is
I love
something
that.
here which is quite significant. These are the Japanese character for Dokuso. This is a term which has guided Nintendo since the early days of the company when Mr. Hiroshi Yamauchi was president. In English, it means creating something unique. I believe when you hear from Nintendo this week, there may be several times when you say to yourself, well, that certainly is unique.
I love
And
Iwata.
hopefully, you will be
I mean,
thinking
that
of
is
unique
Nintendo.
in
They
a
do
good
their
way.
own thing. They always have.
In fact, this Nintendo Direct itself represents something unique because it really begins our E3 news announcements even days before our E3 presentation this coming Tuesday. During that event, we'll be focusing almost entirely on games for Wii U. So
Okay.
today I'd like to introduce
So,
you to Nintendo's brand new
the
home
Wii U,
console, Wii U, and its new controller in a more conceptual sense.
so I don't know if this is when it was officially
In this room
announced.
in 2008,
It seems
we
like this
began
is
discussing
like the big,
what we should do
you know,
with
reveal.
Wii U to meet our goal of creating something unique. And here is one of the topics involved in our
Looks like
discussion.
my head's on that girl's body.
Maybe this seems familiar to you.
Yep. It
People
does seem
are
familiar.
gathered together in the same room with friends or family, but they are not truly connected. They are
Yep.
paying more attention to their devices than to each other. There is
So
an
funny.
American professor who has written
Commentary
a book
on
about this
how people are
called
so distracted
Alone
by
Together.
technology.
And I think that term captures
Coming from a
the
company that
idea.
makes video games.
New technologies in general have made life easier and more efficient. But we have to wonder what this will mean for the nature of human relationships moving forward. So one of
Yeah, I
the
bet you didn't expect to get
challenges
this
we set for
philosophy chat
ourselves
in a Nintendo
was
Direct.
creating something that will help unite people.
It is funny though,
rather
because
than
this is what
divide them.
Nintendo kind of does, is
Uniting
they
whether
try to
in
bring
the
us
same room
together. I mean,
or
Pokemon Go
great
is like the last
distances
really big
apart.
example of that. I think Nintendo Switch too is just a way to
And this
connect
was
people.
a tool
All right,
we devised to help
look at that.
accomplish that.
The Wii U gamepad in all
It
its
is a
glory.
controller for Wii U, and it's called the Wii U gamepad. Let me tell you how we decided on the name. In the 1980s, we began selling a home console known in Japan as the Famicom and in America as the Nintendo Entertainment System or NES. The controllers for previous game platforms typically had a joystick of some sort, but the NES had only
The
a flat
original
surface
NES.
with the plus control pad.
The original NES
Because of
gamepad.
this,
I didn't know that's what it was
players
called.
began referring to it as a gamepad.
Yeah, I'm learning things.
In any case,
I've had a philosophy
we
chat.
decided
I've had a
that
history lesson.
this name also
We had a history
made
lesson
sense
in a
to
Pokemon Direct
describe
too.
the appearance of the Wii U controller, even though it now also features two-stick type devices. This is probably the most obvious difference from the prototype we showed at.
Okay. So he said they've showed this before. This prototype. I'm just curious to compare these examples. So I mean, it looks almost the same. It's bigger, the actual version. You can kind of see the control sticks on the prototype. Those look like the same sticks that are used on the Nintendo 3DS, which is interesting. I think I definitely prefer the ones that the Wii U actually had, which is on the right. Otherwise, I'm not really seeing that too many other differences. So it looks like they added the little symbol on the left side there. I believe that's where you put your amiibos to scan them in. I don't know if amiibos were a thing yet. And they added obviously the Wii U label. Maybe they just didn't have the name yet when they were making it up. And it looks like we have, oh, they moved the plus and minus button, which I think is a good idea. And I don't remember what that little blue symbol is on the bottom right there. Oh, that was the TV button. So you could click that if you wanted to swap from the TV and just have the main game on the screen of the Wii U gamepad. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. They kind of nailed it on the prototype, and they just really refined it for the Wii U gamepad itself. Personally, I love the Wii U, and I think looking at this, it just looks so, again, like the original Nintendo DS, just like chunky, and the Wii U clearly walked so the Switch could run, which is sad because I think the Wii U just had a lot of challenges. I think the Wii U naming, I like that where Iwata's going with the naming scheme, but it just wasn't clear. They were dealing with this huge mass market audience for the Wii U or the Wii, and then they had this new product that was the Wii U. It was like, is it a new system? Can we keep the same system we have and just use this new controller? I think it was just like very unclear what it was to this audience that wasn't used to these type of iterations on consoles. And they didn't have the third-party support they needed, and it just hurt them so bad. But I think the Wii U concept I actually really love. I love the idea of having a controller that is like a tablet that you can use things on the screen on your lap while you're playing something on the TV. I think Mario Maker is a great example of that, where Mario Maker 1, it was just so easy to use because you had this touch screen and you could drag and drop things. And I think the Mario Maker 2 was good, but I think it really missed that. I think they did what they could with the tool system, and I think it worked well for Mario Maker 2, but I think the Wii U was just so well suited to that. And I think being able to have your menu down there, sort of like the DS, where it was like you had a second screen where you could just, click things on your menu, and, maybe it was a map and you could see where you were going so you didn't have to constantly press a different button to have a mini map up here or have an overworld map pop up. It was really convenient for that kind of thing. And I like the idea of just being able to hit a button and have the game on your gamepad so someone else could watch TV, which is essentially what the Switch is, which is funny. So it's like they had a lot of really good elements here, and it just like wasn't quite ready. Like it needed more time to incubate, I think, and they needed a different marketing approach, and they really should have focused more on the partnership angle. I think they were a little overconfident at the time in their first party support being all they needed, but it just wasn't. I think there was so much shovelware on the Wii that they didn't really value the Nintendo library anymore, which is a shame because the games that came to the Wii U, even though it was a very small library of games, they were all so good. And I mean, you can see that because now they essentially just poured all those games to the Switch, and they've all done incredibly well. Like some of the best-selling games of all time were Wii U games. Most recently being Super Mario 3D World, which is a brilliant game, and I'm glad it got the love to port it over to the Switch, and now more people can play it. I owned pretty much every first-party game for the Wii U, and I love that library. So it's just a shame that it just didn't stick, and they had some missteps. But it is interesting to kind of go back and see this because we can kind of see, they weren't entirely crazy. And I think it's funny the way they started out the presentation with Iwata saying, throughout this presentation, you're going to see some things that make you say, that's unique. And I think he's absolutely right. I think already this is like, that's unique. And throughout the entire Wii U life cycle, I think that's what people said. And I think today, people say that, but they've just nailed the partnership angle out of the park. And they've gotten back the respect that they had for their Nintendo library. So now it's sort of like, all right, they're going to do their own things. Sometimes it's going to be great. Sometimes it's going to be okay. Sometimes it's going to be like masterpiece level of content that they're producing. So it's just fun to go back to this and kind of see it. All right, let's continue. Okay, so this isn't the announcement of the Wii U. This is a follow-up to the announcement that kind of goes more in depth. So a deep dive on the
for
Wii U,
portable devices
and its features,
where
and
a low
hopefully some
profile
games.
form
I imagine there's
factor
got to
is
be some
important.
games.
Instead,
I don't know if I
here
remember
we
what
have incorporated
first launch
sticks
title
that
was.
not only
That'll be interesting.
operate precisely in 360 degrees, but
I mean, they
which
just came out
also
with Mario
can be
Kart
pushed
7.
down for an added method of control.
Oh, yes, you can click
In
the
addition,
stick.
we have also redesigned the back of the controller and
Yeah, and I think,
button layout.
I think
to
one of
maximize
the other
comfort,
problems with the
even if you are playing for a
gamepad
long
was that it
period
was
of
just like,
time.
it was kind of
A couple more
too
things.
bulky,
This mark to
It was
the
a little
left
heavy,
of the screen is
but it
the
wasn't
location
too
of
heavy.
the
Like, I feel like
NFC
it should have some
reader
heft to
writer.
it, but it
You
felt
can
like
place cards
boxy
or
in weird
figures on
ways.
this, and relevant data will be read or written into your experience.
Okay, so
This button
Amiibos,
can
have
be
they
pressed
announced that yet? I don't think
even
they
when
have.
The Wii U itself is not
They're just saying, oh yeah, an NFC reader
with the
for,
existing remote
your
or
NFC
your current
needs.
Wii.
Oh my god, the TV remote
You can simply
is actually
turn
genius. I
on
use
or
this
turn
all
off
the time.
the game console.
I didn't have to lean over and
Beyond
look for
that,
the remote
need your
nestled between the
TVs
couch
or a
cushions. I can
cable
just
remote.
touch this button.
But with Wii U, the
I forgot
gamepad
that that's what that
itself
did.
becomes a fully independent infrared TV
Another
remote.
genius design.
Next, let me talk about some of the things that the Wii U gamepad makes possible.
Yes, please.
Last year at E3,
Might be
we
my,
talked
my
about
nostalgia talking,
the
but I do like
potential
this
of two
style of
screens.
presentation. I think this is essentially what they stuck with.
Of course,
They
many
just
people
had,
already operate
a director
the two
stand up
screens of the
with a
both
background
Nintendo
and
DS
talk to us
and Nintendo
directly,
3DS.
as Iwata
But
himself
with
would coin.
Wii U, two screens become more dynamic.
I don't remember
because
playing
the
this
relationship between them
golf
is
game
not
like this.
fixed.
I still like that idea though.
Secondly, the two
It sounds
screens
silly, but
make
I like that.
possible
I like that you could see the
something
ball on the
engineers
ground and you
refer
could
to as
use the Wiimote to
asymmetric
hit it.
diversity
I don't
in
remember ever
gameplay.
doing that, but I
In
like that
simpler
concept.
terms, what is
There was
being
also another
seen
game I think they're
or
going to
even
show
done on the
shortly
small gamepad
of
screen is different
ninja stars that you can throw at
what's
bamboo or
happening
something.
on the big screen TV.
That got me
We'll
excited.
be
I remember being
showing you
excited about this
what this
presentation,
means for
which is funny
gameplay
because
at E3
the
this
Wii
week.
U is the black sheep
The
nowadays.
gamepad screen is also a touch screen. You can use the stylus to draw pictures or use your finger for the usual
I mean,
range
that was cool.
of
Again, I
intuitive
wish I was that
inputs.
good.
What is more unusual
Oh yeah, see? So this is the
how
Ninja
the
Star
two
guy. I remember
screens
this so
can work
vividly.
together
I
in
also don't know if that ever
unprecedented
was
ways.
in anything. I feel like it wasn't something.
This kind of gaming
I remember
feels
seeing that and being
unique.
like, okay, that's awesome. I want to do that.
The Wii U gamepad also senses movement with motion and gyro sensors. This
Everyone's
is
favorite.
particularly
I think
important
people give
for
motion
people
controls
somewhat
too much
unfamiliar with
slack.
gaming. By using more intuitive motions to control a game,
I mean, Wii
players
Sports,
of
love
all
that.
skill
Love that.
levels
Wii Resort,
can better play together. And of course,
Wii Sports
all
Resort,
this is enhanced
one of my favorite
because
games of all
the
time.
improved
That might sound
graphics
silly, but I love it.
processing power
And it uses motion
of the
controls.
hardware, something you recognize beginning at the E3 presentation on Tuesday. Also, consider that with a screen in your own hands, you don't need to be sitting directly in front of your TV. You might
That is
also
cool.
find yourself in any comfortable spot anywhere in the living room. As we mentioned last year, sometimes
I
you
think that
can
is
continue
smart.
playing on
And
the
I think that's
gamepad
what the Switch
even when
does
the TV screen is
well
being
too. It's like
used for
it's
something
built
else.
around
This might occur
a
with more
world in
casual
which
games, when
we all
you
have
are in the
our
middle
own
of your
devices
Wii Fit routine, or when
in an
you
ecosystem
intend to spend
that
many hours
is
deeply
flexible.
immersed
So
in
like you
your
could play your
game,
video games and someone
and
could use the
others
TV at the
aren't
same
willing
time.
to let you have the TV to yourself.
You could plug your headphones
for all
into
the
the. I'm pretty sure you could plug your headphones into the gamepad,
And
but no
in
one had to
any
hear it either.
of these situations, not only will you see high
I
quality
mean, that's one of the
console
reasons I love the
graphics
Switch,
on
is
the big
because
screen
I can
TV,
sit there and play my games,
but
and
those images can be displayed
my girlfriend
on
can
the
watch her
Wii U
true
gamepad
crime TV
without
shows
delay, something no existing handheld game devices
at
can
the same time. Everyone's happy.
Wii U will support all your previous forms of Wii control, including the Wii Remote,
Was that,
the Nunchuk controller, and the Wii Balance Board. Big screen TV.
hold on.
Something
Okay, so
no
that's that
existing
legendary
handheld game devices can do.
Zelda trailer that we never got.
Wii
Everyone
U
always
will
wanted.
support all your previous forms of Wii control, including the Wii Remote, the Nunchuk
I think another thing
controller,
that was
and the Wii Balance Board.
really
For those
cool
who are
about the
mainly
Wii U was that it was in
interested in
HD.
multi-platform
We
games
no longer had
with more
to
traditional means
suffer
of
through
control,
whatever
we
terrible
will
resolution the
also
Wii
offer
was.
the Wii U Pro
I mean,
controller
games looked so
as a
much better
separate
on the
peripheral,
Wii U.
which is
There we go, we got the
lighter
Pro controller.
and maybe more attractive for longer,
I personally think that the
more
Switch Pro
intense
controller
forms of
is
gaming.
currently one of,
Overall,
if not the
some
best
people may wonder if
controller
Wii U
available
is
today.
a
I
simple
think the
evolution of
PS5
Wii
DualSense
or something
has a lot more
entirely
going
different.
on for it,
I think
feature-wise,
maybe the best answer
but in terms of
is
comfort, I think the
both.
Switch controller beats them all. It just fits
In
my hands better.
2006, we changed the way friends and family
2006.
interacted
This
in
is
the
6
living
years
room.
later.
One way we thought about
We
this
really
was
took off. I
turning
remember.
the living room
I mean, you couldn't
into
find a
a
Wii
kind of
for
playground,
a long time.
and that play could also be expanded to distant locations. While many Wii games were single player, probably the most memorable experiences came when people would play together.
It's true.
Today,
I mean, I think back
Wii
about
U
my
does what
history of playing
we
games,
did,
and my most
only
memorable
better.
ones are when I'm playing
And
with
at the
other
same
people.
time, it is also something
But I also love
entirely new.
single-player games. So
Not only can it connect people in a better way within the same living room, but it also connects people living room to living room in a much more compelling way. By this point, I think maybe it's better to show you an example.
yes, I
rather
was just
than
about to say this is a good
continuing to explain.
example of pacing. Like,
And in the
how long
spirit
have we been going on this video
creating
in particular?
something
12
unique,
minutes
I think maybe
of just a
the
lot of
following
talking,
is
which,
not
you know,
what
I think
you
they need to
normally
get across a
imagine
certain amount of
when
information,
you hear the
but it's
term
not the most
game
exciting.
video.
I mean, at the time, this was exciting, I should say, because we were learning about a new system.
Oh no, zombies! Zombies are after
But
me!
compare that
Oh,
to like the
oh.
PS5
You won't
reveal,
think I'm
it was
so
like
tasty after
4
this
minutes
fun
long.
sandwich. Oh, okay. All right, zombie boss, you're going down. Let's see you try breaking down this door. Oh, why did I think that would work? I'm out of bullets. My bear trap is useless. My pushes are ineffectual.
Actually, like
no,
this
no.
little trailer.
Oh man, he got me again. If I don't beat this zombie boss, I'm gonna end up talking to myself like a crazy person. Right, non-specific action figure?
Non-specific action figure.
What is my mood? Is complete despair an option? SOS. Any clue how to beat
Yes,
the scary
this is what I was mentioning
zombie
earlier.
that
This is
breaks
one of the
down
features I
doors?
loved about the Wii U.
Post. All right,
Posting these
maybe
little messages.
Comments by peeps in the same situation as me will help. Me too. What do I do? Boo-hoo. I almost lost 3 survivors to that monster. I thought I almost had a heart attack when he burst in. Guess I'm not alone after all. You know what I mean.
Todd.
Could you actually do that? Look at it on your
the
phone?
non-killing zombie
I don't remember
killer.
that.
Knock, knock. Who's there? A polite zombie who doesn't just break down doors when he wants to come in. In fact, he calls first. I'm kidding. It's me, Warren.
Yeah, I take it you saw my post.
A little bit. You know, I feel for you, Todd. That zombie boss is a pain in the capital B. Don't worry, I'll be over soon to help you beat
Oh my
those
gosh.
games, as per usual.
Actually, I think my buddy OctoG123 has it figured out. Guess I have all the help I need here, Warren.
So, You don't need me anymore?
Nope, see ya.
Oh my god, this is ridiculous.
I'm so sad. Excuse me, miss. Miss, I noticed you're drinking coffee also. Coffee drinkers have a lot in common.
All right, Octo G123, let's see if your plan works. Your scanner reveals pockets of antibodies located on
I'm
the
just getting so
zombie's
absorbed in
swollen
this.
glands. Gross. Let's do this. Back to game.
I mean,
All
see,
right,
this is
come on, come on. Swollen
sort of what I
glands.
was talking
am I
about.
even looking
They just
for?
had such a weird marketing approach. I actually think this is a funny trailer, but is this the trailer that you want to launch a brand new system?
Okay, come on.
We haven't even seen the
Come on,
console
come on, pick up.
itself. All we've seen is the gamepad. Look, there's the console. The first shot of it.
Lousy Octo G123.
Slid under the TV on the left or on the
That makes
right
me
there,
uncomfortable.
next to an old nunchuck controller.
You said on Wii U that I should use my scanner to locate the antibodies in the zombie's swollen glands, but I didn't see anything.
Have you upgraded your scanner, ding dong?
No, I didn't do that. Okay,
This is
awesome.
another.
Thanks, Octo G.
Did this actually? Could you actually do this? Could you chat with people live on video with Wii U?
Best
I don't
friend?
remember doing that ever.
Gotta go. Bye. All right. I promised to tell him about us. Okay, updating scanner. All right, let's see if this works. Oh, there it is. Yes. Okay, zombie boss. The only one who's gonna bite it is you. Yes. I did it. I beat him.
This is absurd.
I beat him. Did you hear that non-specific action figure? I beat him. I beat him. Yeah. Oh,
That non-specific action figure, I think it got more screen time than the actual Wii U console did. We got some icons here. So we got Mario Kart, Mario Party, that looks like to me. We had DK, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, I think was on Donkey Kong Country.
I think you may agree that was a little different.
It was a little
I
different.
hope you liked it.
Oh, Wada.
At the end, I think you
See,
saw
now look at
a lot
this.
of me
The Wii U
characters
console
come
is
out,
over there.
saying different
White.
things and
Against this like white background on a white dresser. So it just like blends in. And I just think people didn't really understand. What is it? Is that a Wii that's on its side?
teams have been calling this Mi Wara Wara since early in development.
This is, I think, is this Mi Plaza? I think is what it's called.
We use the term Wara Wara to describe this kind of gathering. Roughly translated, it refers to the general noise and commotion created by such a crowd. The Miis
Wada Wada.
you
Wada
see there
Wada Wada.
are not random. Your me will be there, along with every person who has an account on your own Wii U system. In addition, your
Oh,
friends
Miis.
are there.
I miss the days of
And
Miis.
finally, also in the scene are
Mi
people from your
Plaza.
country or who speak your
Creating
language,
your own
who are
Miis.
also playing
Creating
the game
hideous, nightmarish
presented by the
creations. The good old
The speech
days.
bubbles represent
The
actual
Wii
communications from
app
all
music,
Wii's
all those
real-world
different
players.
music tracks.
When you
That brings me
launch
back.
the Wii U menu, the Wii U gamepad in your hands will have a familiar lineup of icons for games and built-in applications. But on the TV screen, you will see
I wonder
tiles
what that
for
Boo
games
game is supposed to
that
be.
players around the world
Imagine
are
Boo getting his own
playing
mainline
most,
game.
including games you
Or a
may
spin-off.
not even own. The Mii characters gather around the games they are playing.
Still suck.
And the views of the Wii U gamepad
Yeah, that looks like a Mario Party asset to me.
interchangeable. What's going on here is
I could just
what
be
we call
making stuff up.
Miiverse. Clearly,
Miiverse.
this is a word we've invented, a shortened way to describe
Miiverse.
a
I miss Miiverse.
Mii universe, a place where Miis from around the world can meet and connect. It's a network communication system that is as native to Wii U as is the Wii U gamepad. This plaza scene is the first thing
See, I think this
displayed
is
on the
interesting to
TV
think about. I'm
when
trying to
you turn on
already
your
place
Wii
this
U.
in my ranking, and I just am
Miiverse
like,
can also
I
be
don't think this
activated
is that good.
anytime during your game
The pace is really
without
slow.
the need to terminate
They
play.
haven't really
Certainly,
talked about
idea
anything
of a
aside from the
video game
gamepad.
network is not
And then we
new.
just get some information about
So
the Mii's,
let
and
me
we're,
focus
I mean, we
on
gotta be
the
like 20 minutes in.
few of the elements
20
that
minutes
we
exactly,
feel
wow.
make Miiverse distinctive.
So we're 2/3 of the way through
In
this.
typical fashion,
And I just don't think they've
communication
done
between the Miis
what they
can
need to
occur
do in this
with
type of
simple
presentation.
text
For a
messaging.
new piece of
However,
hardware,
we believe the touchpad on the Wii U gamepad
you know, I think they should have
will
come
make
in with
some
software by now.
Not
You know,
only
a new
does
game to get
the
everyone excited,
touchscreen
to
make
showcase
typing
what the
simpler,
console can do.
but you also may find
And they should
that
show the console more,
this screen
not just the gamepad.
right in your hands makes reading messages
Hindsight's 20/20,
easier.
so,
Maybe
you know,
I'm not the only
I
person
don't necessarily
who
blame them,
sometimes finds
and I
it
think they
difficult
definitely learned their
to read
lessons
the
over the years.
channel guide on the TV from across the room.
But it's just like you watch this
also
and you're like,
makes
okay,
it simple
I can see in
to
retrospect how this
communicate
was,
with handwritten notes,
you know,
even
they could have done things differently.
as technology has advanced. Handwritten
And I think the
messages
trailer, you know,
have
while funny,
declined.
it didn't
If
do
you
what it needed to
use
do.
Flipnote Studio or SwapNote, you
It
understand
told us that you could
what you physically
essentially
write
FaceTime your grandpa, who owns a Wii U
convey stronger
and
feelings
knows how to be better at a video
you
game than you and
simply
gives you
type.
advice.
With Miiverse, you can even add image of facial expression to help
Now this is where it's at. Miiverse and Mi Plaza. I miss those. I really do.
a wide menu
I think
of
this
rich
that's a good example of how they want to
including
build
the ability
community,
to post screenshots from their own
which I think is good. I don't think,
and even
you know,
transmit
PlayStation and
game
Xbox, they don't really do that.
they have created
Nintendo
themselves, which can
has
then
always kind of
be
felt
added
like
to
a community
others'
in
gameplay.
certain ways.
All
That
of
just
these
might be me
aspects
talking
of
out of my
Miiverse,
butt, but
which I've described, are native to the Wii U platform and can be accessed by all games directly from the home button. But of course, game developers will also be able to use Miiverse functionality directly
Oh,
in the
no.
games if they so desire. And they already have many ideas.
so that's going to be
We will work to prevent
New
spoilers
Super Mario
that
Bros.
might
U.
detract from your game experience.
Why don't we see more of
The
that?
purpose of Miiverse
Why don't
is
we
to
see more of
add
that?
not only information, but also a new degree of empathy between players. Furthermore, Miiverse does not require the use of your big screen. In fact, we consider the small screen on the Wii U gamepad itself as a social window, fully capable of linking player
You know, I
to
think
player.
there's a lot of philosophy going into this. I think there's a lot of like their design thinking behind the Wii U, and I think it's like, they're good ideas. It's hard to say that they're not good ideas.
Does Wii
But I think the
U
package
offer
that this is
players
coming in,
a
it just isn't
way
right.
to connect across great distance, but they can also enjoy a sense of connection even when they are not playing at the same time.
I am thinking that this
Just as with Wii,
is
players
better on a
will be
presentation
able
level
to
compared to the first
compete
two.
with others online, but with the Miiverse,
It has more content,
even in a single-player game,
and I think it's
even when
presented
players
in a way
are
that
not
makes
competing or cooperating at
more
the same time.
sense. It's
Even
not
when
like two executives
games
having a
are not
conversation,
designed for online
and it's not Reggie talking in front of
Miiverse
a like white wall.
connect your living room with those of others, regardless of space or time.
But is it better than those
Because
as a
the
whole?
key
You know, it's hard to
components of
compare.
Miiverse
I think
are
this is a new
browser-based.
era for Nintendo that
These
they're
social
entering.
connections will eventually be possible.
And it feels like
outside your
that's what they were
home,
expecting,
away
and
from the
looking
Wii
back on
U
it, it's sort of like,
itself.
oh, it was a new era, but it
We want to offer
wasn't a
this
good era.
immediately at
It was
launch,
not a good era.
But later, Miiverse will be available from your Nintendo 3DS, your PC, or any web-enabled mobile device.
Okay, so was it?
Previously,
I don't think it was an app that you could download on your phone. I think it was like you go on the browser and you type in the address. Is that what it was? I honestly don't remember.
In a similar way,
Because it's sort of like
the
nowadays you have the
social elements of
Xbox. I think the
Miiverse
Xbox
are
app
also
is the
designed
most
for
advanced
Wii
mobile
U,
app. It
Nintendo
kind of
3DS,
connects with
and
everything you're
future
doing in the
Nintendo
Xbox
devices.
ecosystem.
Let me close with
But Nintendo
one
is
more
just,
thought.
their online capabilities just aren't at that level.
I first
They
talked
definitely were
about
not at
the
that level
three
in
conceptual
2012.
pillars, which could be altered by Wii. First, the relationship between the family and the game machine.
I mean, look at this. This
Second,
is like straight up
the
design
relationship
thinking.
between the game machine and the TV.
Here's our concept for the Wii.
And third,
And here's our concept for the Wii
relationship
U.
between the TV and the internet. The Wii U gamepad makes each of these connections even richer. That because the second screen on the Wii U gamepad can perform different functions, even at times independent of Wii U itself. We showed video chat functionality as well.
Talk about pacing.
There is also an internet browser that allows you to share what
This is
you
going to be
are
hard for me
browsing on the
to decide
popular
where this
screen in
fits.
your hands with
Because it's
others
like
in
they're
living
introducing
room
new
using
hardware.
the television.
But all they've talked about in terms of
You
software
can
is
input
Miiverse.
and read text on the small screen in your hands, and when watching the videos and photos with everyone, you show content separately on the TV screen. Normally,
I remember that too, being able to like flick the video up there. I don't know if that was actually something you could actually do, but I remember seeing that in this presentation and being like, oh my god, that's mind-blowing. I mean, you can essentially do that nowadays. You don't just swipe it up there. But you got Chromecast, you just hit that button, up it goes. You got a smart TV, just hit that button.
This is another feature that was
And this is like,
based
it's
on
interesting to see this because it's like looking back, it's like
creation of Miiverse
apps. They were doing all this through a browser. It wasn't an app. You didn't have like a YouTube app, which I think you did eventually.
I often quote
But it's weird that they're talking
something
so
said
much
by Mr.
specifically
Miyamoto,
about browser-enabled
well-known
capabilities.
around the world as the father of many franchises, such as Mario and Zelda. His belief is that a great idea solves the multiple problems at the same time.
Miyamoto.
We believe this describes the Wii U gamepad. It is an idea that has the potential to solve several of the problems
A lot I
Wii
love you,
U
but
was designed to address.
that's sad because it
We
did have the
believe it
potential.
can
It really
help
did.
solve the issue of
But did it
alone
deliver?
together. We believe it
sadly.
enabled the sharing of
I think that's
more
like,
smiles,
me looking back
more laughs,
and saying I love the
and
Wii U.
more
I think that's the one thing I feel is like there was so much
whether
potential.
at home
It was just missed potential.
connected
They
to
didn't
the
tap into it
homes of your friends.
as much as they could have,
We believe that 6 years ago,
which, it happens.
we introduced a new
And they
form
recovered,
of
and now
together.
they're, the Switch is on
There's
track
a
to
way
be
to
the
describe
best-selling
Wii
console of
U
all time.
in a
So,
similar sense, it
but
is
the game industry
together
moves quickly.
better.
I mean, this was
Even
8
when
years ago,
you are
9 years
playing
ago.
by yourself, the
Think of where
Miiverse
we
can
are now
connect
in
you
comparison.
with your friends, family, and other
It's
players
wild.
around the world who are playing the same game you are. Even with no one else in the room, you won't feel alone. And perhaps most of all, we believe Wii U remains true to the promise of Dokso. We hope when you experience it firsthand, you will agree that it represents the creation of something unique.
It definitely is unique.
We have
I mean,
a
you can't
busy
deny
week
that.
ahead including our
it was such a good idea that it did birth the Nintendo Switch. So
we'll continue to focus our attention on Wii U. But don't worry, we also have plenty of news about Nintendo 3DS to deliver during
this is
other
interesting
upcoming
because
opportunities.
I think after
Thank
this,
you
I
so
don't know
much
if I
for
have the
spending this time with us
Nintendo E3
And
presentation
I plan
on here.
on guest tweeting all through E3 on Nintendo's official Twitter account. And I hope you'll be able to join us to follow our E3 presentation on Tuesday when we'll
On Tuesday,
begin
okay.
giving you
So we can see if the next
concrete examples
Nintendo Direct
of video
builds
game
on this.
experiences you've
Because I
never
think
had before.
Nintendo 3DS reveal
Thanks
was
again.
next. Nintendo 3DS XL review, excuse me. Reveal. So let's see about that. Okay, yeah, so I may need to add that on here. Because the next one isn't until a few weeks later. And it's going to be the Nintendo 3DS XL review. So I think, you know, announcements for this one, man, this is tough because they didn't really talk about much. It was 30 minutes long and it felt like an hour. So we'll just say the Wii U hardware deep dive. And coverage of Miiverse and Mi Plaza. I mean, that was it. For a video that announces your hardware, it just did not have the hype that you would expect. Which is sad. It had so much potential. And then they showed that trailer that had almost nothing to do with the Wii U itself. I mean, okay, so this was Nintendo Direct pre-E3 2012. I mean, is this F tier? I think this might be F tier. Or D tier. So the thing is, I do think that, like, presentation style, it did better than these two. I think that's the only saving grace it has, is that they leveled it up by just having the style that they've essentially kept, which is they talk to us directly, and they gave us information we needed about new hardware, and that was pretty much it. So in comparison, I mean, this is definitely better than the first of all time. I mean, we got essentially nothing from that. And I think, honestly, I think this is going to be in D tier, because it did, we only got Kid Icarus Uprising, and it was really the multiplayer for that game, and then it was some details about Mario Tennis. But it wasn't a whole ton of actual footage of the games. So I think as a whole, this one is going to go in D tier, but it's going to be like the bottom of the D tier as we add onto it, because it just didn't deliver on what, it should have. And I think this is one of the big reasons why the Wii U just didn't succeed as well as it could, because it came out with this. This was our first real look at the Wii U, and it just left people asking more questions than it gave answers, which I don't think is what you want. And thinking back on things like the PS5 reveal, which I think is maybe the greatest reveal of all time, it just pales in comparison. But in terms of Nintendo Directs, I'm putting it there. I feel fine about that for now. I might change it later on depending on where we end up. But this is what we're going to end with, and I'm going to look to see if we have a direct in between these, because I know there are other E3 events on here. But do we count that as a Nintendo Direct if they were just at E3 that year? So I'll take a look and decide. But I think for today, this is where we're going to stop. So we watched 4 directs, which I think is a good amount. We'll probably keep doing that every time I stream. 3 of them we ranked. The first one we just was kind of like night and day difference of where we're at today and where we started. So if you want to follow along, follow me on twitch.tv/janitorroundballs. You'll see that beautiful picture of Reggie's zoomed in face as my icon. And on that page, on my About page, you can also find my link to my YouTube, Janitor Roundballs, where I'll be uploading these videos. So if you ever miss one, you can check out the directs there. And you can kind of watch back my process of ranking them. And you can follow me at Twitter @JanitorRound. And that's where I'll be posting when I'm going live. I'm thinking I might do Tuesday nights for these and potentially Saturdays. I think today I did it a little earlier than I usually would. So usually I think I'm going to do Saturday nights and maybe Tuesday nights. See how that goes. I might do more often. I might do less. I also want to do some more streaming on here for just video games. But for now, the main focus of this channel is going to be on ranking Nintendo Directs. And here is part one, Nintendo Direct ranking. And this is what we got so far. Starting off strong, D and E. Sad. Hopefully we'll start seeing that S tier soon. But I have a feeling it's going to be a while because the Wii U era was not the best. But once we start getting to the Switch era, that's when things start really popping off. But yeah, so I think that's it. Thank you to whoever joined and watched along with me. Again, we'll be continuing this process. It's going to take a while, at least another 45 hours worth of watching. So yeah, I'd be more than happy for others to join in the nostalgic walking back through Nintendo Direct history, rewatching these, maybe seeing some of them for the first time, and just appreciating where we've come and thinking back on, how some of these announcements, how hyped they were in the moment, and how hyped the games actually were. So yeah, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more. Bye-bye.